Hood Podcast, a comprehensive weekly analysis of the Newcastle Knights 2024 NRL season, brought to you by Michael and James. So fire up and let's go. Surely you're fired up after that finals birthing performance, mate.
Oh, mate, it was total slogfest. It was tough old school Newcastle footy, wasn't it? It was very reminiscent of the early 90s. So yeah, mate, I'm happy with the win. I'm actually a bit sick this week, but yeah, it hasn't sort of tapered off my excitement for this week. So yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, it was just great to see the boys make the finals, and it's been a pretty turbulent season. There's been ups and downs. It's been pretty dour, hasn't it? It's but now here we are. We made the 8. We've come 8th, and as we predicted at the start of the year, we both said that we'd make the top 8, make the finals, and the United podcast, we also put our money where our mouth was when we saw an opportunity there just before the Sharks match. We got odds of $8.25 to make the finals, and we landed that bet, James.
Yeah, mate, it was good to land that, and I don't know, I was a bit concerned a couple of weeks out, but yeah, we came through with it. You delivered the goods, obviously, but yeah, mate, we done well, but what a season in general. It's just been up and down, and it's so hard to pick. For us as to come out on top and in the positive is really good compared to considering how hard this season has been to really pick. So I think we've done well.
Yeah, 100%. I think we have done well, and look, while we're sort of doing a bit of a summary of some of our thoughts, let's chuck a couple of comments up there on the screen. So Angelo's chiming in. So mate, hey Angelo, shout out, mate. We're in the finals, so you've said here, come on, let's go. Finals or a go. Yeah, I think definitely, like you're saying here, that the Cowboys definitely have points in them, and defending is going to be really important, and we're going to go over that in the pod tonight. And Angelo, see some comments there made in the press conference by O'Brien and also by Ponga. Yeah, it's definitely never easy up in Townsville. What are your thoughts on Angelo's comment there, James?
Yeah, I mean, it's my big concern is the fact those guys can score a lot of points, and look, going off last week, I can't see us changing our style too much. But in saying that, I think we've got to probably score more than 14 points to win. But yeah, I mean, if it's working for us, why change it? And hopefully we can drag them into a bit of a bit of a street fight, a slugfest, and that's what the aim will be. And I think AOB actually made a good point for once during his press conference, where he said, the last 2 games have been pretty similar when it comes to the backlines have been really dangerous, and they've sort of handled them. So they should be confident playing against those sort of guys. So yeah, I think we're quietly confident, but again, really hostile environment, and it doesn't get tougher, really, does it?
Yeah, well, we'll get into the analysis in the second half of the show. It's I think I have mentioned that I don't mind the Cowboys. I think they've got the capability to run through this final series and qualify for the grand final. So if we can manage to pull their pants down up there in Townsville, which, by the way, how far are you from Townsville? I've never looked on the map. It's a fair distance, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's around 350 Ks or something like that. So it's not like
that's nothing for a Queenslander, mate. You should jump in the car and get there. Hey, represent.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me, "Are you going to Townsville to watch the game?" It's like I can't do it that easily, but because of work commitments and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a bit of an effort. But yeah, unfortunately, due to work, I can't make it, and I'm pretty sure I'd probably be sold out by now anyway. So
yeah, whatever. You're not a true Queenslander, mate. You're showing your New South Wales, New South Wales. Because I've heard stories of the Cowboys. They get in, they drive 6-7 hours, so 4 hours is nothing.
Yeah, that's probably true. And I've heard stories about the coming out from out in the bush to watch the Cowboys. So yeah, that's pretty makes me look pretty bad, doesn't it?
It does. And we've got a comment here from Jeff. What a game, he says, and we went set for set with them, and also the Cowboys beating the weak doggies doesn't bother you. Yeah, look, I guess Jeff, thanks for chiming in and thanks for tuning in again. And I think it's pretty similar to what happened there, isn't it, with the Dolphins? The Dolphins put a score on the Broncos, and the Cowboys here have done the same thing. And I think you've brought up a really good point here because, maybe it was a bit of fool's gold with the Dolphins, and I did write an article on that with Wayne Bennett and how he kind of pulled all of his trick cards out a week early, and it did pan out that way. So the week before, remember, it was close to a reserve grade team that they played in North Queensland versus Melbourne, and I think that Melbourne were right in that match and almost won it. So, what do you reckon, James? That's we're looking at the form. I think Jeff's got a good point there.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been playing tough. The Cowboys, good point about the against Melbourne, because you're right, they were very under strength, and but yeah, I mean, it's all a different ball game though, really, when it comes down to it in semis, isn't it? So a bit of form does and momentum does play a part, but in saying that, any team can win on their day, and it's going to be just whoever puts in that effort on the day. And thankfully, we've been playing tough, playing hard, playing tough for about a month now. Actually, probably since the Sharks game. Really, we've really been putting the effort in. So we're in the thick of it.
You could say it's a month. So we won 3 matches, and thanks for the comment there, Jeff. And we've got some more comments there, so we might get back to you a little bit later in the show. Look, overall, we're there. We've won 3 from our last 4. We squeezed into the top 8. Results went our way. And look, let's get straight into tonight's show now after that little introduction. So we're going to run over the round 27 review, and we'll run over the finals week 1 preview. And thank God we made it. It's great. Our overview for the night is we'll run through our review, then we'll go through our 3-2-1 update for the year. Have a look at actually not the NRL ladder. I've replaced that segment with we're going to have a look at the ladder predictor and see where we're going to be actually over the next 3 to 4 weeks if we stay in this competition, which James touched on. It's virtually a new competition now that we've qualified. We'll have a look at our season review in the regular season. It's finished now, so we'll have a quick look at that. Then we'll get into the second half of the show with the finals week 1 teams and analysis. Have a look at the betting update. We've achieved some pretty awesome results when it comes to the betting, and the weekend we landed. James and I, we landed our head-to-head bet. Then we also got our live bet during the match, and then on top of that, we got our top 8. We couldn't have done any better. And it was good counting the cash. So the next one is finals week 1 tips, and then we'll wrap up the show. So, look, let's get into this bit here, James. The Knights, we got up 14-6 over the Dolphins, and it was 2 tries to 1. So we only got an extra 1 try. We got our conversions, 2 from 2, 1 from 1 for the Dolphins, and there was a sin bin there from Bromwich. Dog shot on Ponga. It was pretty ordinary, and I think they got a little bit dirty, a bit frustrated towards the end. Even Kafusi, he put a bit of a late hit on who was it? Was it Cogger? Or was it? It wasn't Ponga. I know
remember he cleaned someone up.
Yeah, he cleaned someone up. Yeah, he cleaned someone up towards the end of the second half. So anyway, fuck them. We won. And it didn't matter that Kafusi was in there. He's the blank face. So that's great. And we're not going to spend too much time doing comprehensive review here, but we will go over the high level stuff. So we completed at 78%, which was down on last week. We were a bit higher last week. We were also a bit lower in run meters at 1766. we made 2 line breaks. So that was also down. We made 8 the week before. So only 2 line breaks, and we only scored 1 extra try over the Dolphins. So it was definitely slogfest footy. Felt like we were in control of that match for most of it. I think that call that went for us in the bunker, that definitely was a big momentum influencer, you could say. And there's been a fair bit of commentary in regards to that. Maybe we should just touch on it quickly while we're talking. So, I mean, by the rules, everyone was talking about, Cogger made a defensive decision, and because of his decision, should have been awarded a try. And that's coming from some pretty good minds in footy, including Wayne Bennett and Phil Gould, who have made that comment. But what they don't mention, which Braithen Astor mentioned last night at NRL 360, is that Brodie Jones is the one who's actually was, obstructed. And he actually got to the player, but he got there half a second late. If he wasn't obstructed and he got to the player a bit earlier, he probably would have made a tackle and made it a lot harder for that try to be scored. Did you have any thoughts on that, James?
No, look, to be honest, I hate the bunker in general, but and that's one of my pet peeves is the whole the way they adjudicate this stuff. And look, I was more than happy for it to go our way. A lot of things don't go our way. But I mean, just the footy player in me, I thought that was a try all day, but I don't really give a rat's. It's done and dusted.
Yeah. Look, I thought it was a try when they scored it, but then when I looked at the replay, based on the rules, I thought there was clear obstruction to Jones, and he was denied a chance to really get to that player. So, although on first look live felt like a try, but I was surprised to see the bunker light come up because I was so disappointed that they scored. But yeah, it was good. When I had a closer look at it, it made sense. And trying to be objective about it as well. I think, I think Jones was obstructed. So anyway, let's move on from that. Our average set distance was 37 meters, which is still pretty low. I don't think we made something like 52 meters against the Titans. So that's come down. 5 offloads, so we didn't offload as much. So we didn't offload as much. We had 12 offloads, I think, in the previous match, and we played some really good attack. So we I definitely think we played more conservative in this match. 607 kick meters. A lot of those came from the boot of Cogger, and he had a pretty good kicking game. Missed tackles was up this week from 30 last week to 44, 12 errors from 6 last week. And we won the battle of discipline again, 6 infringements against us to their 11. Although one thing I will say about the refereeing, I thought the interpretation of the ruck coming out of our own end was pretty ordinary. Felt like the Dolphins are laying all over us, and our play the ball speed coming out of our own end was low, and it's probably one of the reasons why our average set distance was down. And then I really hate the way Klein was reffing. He was consistent with the way he did it. So that's one thing good. But what I was disappointed about was when a team seems to get momentum coming into the other team's half, so once they get over the 50-meter point, I found that, in the ruck, he's very easy to give away penalties, and he gives these 6, not penalties, but 6 against. And he seems to do it when a team's in an attacking flow and they're starting to get momentum. He becomes more critical in terms of the ruck and the ruck speed, because I guess that's when it's most critical is if you're on the back foot. This is probably the best way to explain it. If a team gets a bit on the back foot, he's quite trigger happy to give away 6 against. Whereas if the other team's got ascendancy, he doesn't do it so much. But yeah, I thought we were a bit hard done by coming out of our own end, especially on Marju and Ponga a couple of times. It was terrible.
Yeah, and the thing was, I mean, Marju was like busting up the middle, and he deserved a quick play of the ball a lot of the times. I'm going to say pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
And for them to be laying all over him and all that kind of stuff, I think I think he got 1 or 2 penalties off him or restarts or something. But yeah, I mean, that's just Klein though, isn't it? He can be a bit all over the shop sometimes.
I don't know, man. Look, as long as they're consistent, that it's inconsistent between the refs that you get. So, look, that was my observation anyway. I just thought that it was quite frustrating watching the game. Like when there's so much on the line, and we probably should have had a few piggybacks out of our own half, which would have made a dramatic difference. So that's the team stats, James. And then in terms of player stat highlights, we've got 2 try assists to Kalen Ponga. Those 2 tries that we scored were pretty awesome. A bit sort of out of the box compared to what we've been doing recently. And he just found a way to score. They did say in the press conference they've been practicing that at training. So, good on them. They executed it well. But we didn't see any any of those kind of flushier kind of tries that we had the previous week. And they definitely played more conservative. But anyway, Brayley made 49 tackles. Lucas made 38. Elliott made 32. So they were the top tacklers. Marju, 229 meters from the back. Sorry. What's happened to that slide? I missed a couple of things there. Sorry. So Ponga was 170 meters approximately, and then we've got Sharp on 147. Just disregard the gay guy one there. I had to whip this up. I've had a long day after work. So Elliott ran 136 meters. Lucas ran 134 meters, and Thompson ran 129 meters. So what I found interesting out of those stats was that they were pretty much the same faces that were there the previous week in terms of our top performers of tackles and attack and running meters. Cogger 411 meters kicked, which was more than what he did last week. So he really took control of the kicking. What did you think of the kicking, James? Did you think it was good, effective?
I thought it was good. Yeah, I thought he was really good. He basically controlled and that set out. There was a few times when I thought in that first half where they were a bit lax on Trey Fuller, when it came down to the chase, probably 2 times, and he really made us pay and made a half break. But I think in general, we really did nail our kick chase, and he was a big part of that. He got him in the right areas. So, he done a really good job.
Yeah, I thought he kicked pretty good too. Leo Thompson, 6 missed tackles, and then 3 errors for Ponga and Marju together. So, look, at the end of the day, we got the chocolates. Let's get on to the press conference notes. O'Brien, these are just some key points from the press conference. He spoke about the defense being a big theme, I guess, for them, and it's defense that wins the big games is the comment that he made. And then KP also talked about that as well, and he's basically said that defense and little moments, they win the big games. That's kind of like a state of origin mindset, isn't it? Or a finals kind of a mindset, finals footy mindset. O'Brien defended the tactics of not competing on kicks again. He's got a point, because I can remember, I don't know whether it was the start of this year or in matches last year, we'd do kicks and then we'd compete for the ball, and then the other team would kind of make a half break and run for like 30 or 40 meters, and we'd catch them. And I remember that used to happen quite a lot. So I can see why he's coached that into the team, but I do believe he's overcoached it into the team, overdone it. It should be a blend, obviously you want to, you've got to attack at the kick sometimes. And I guess when you're attacking for a kick, you've got to have your other attacking players who are about to defend if they don't get the ball back. They've got to be ready for it. So, I still disagree. I think he basically went too far with the tactic. But I guess that's what he felt he had to do to drill it home into the team, and it's but it's been an all season long theme, hasn't it?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's when it works. But I don't know. There's just part of me that always thinks that why would you sort of disregard an area that you can possibly score points on? And also you're playing into the hands of the opposition where they know exactly what you're doing. There's no surprise factor there. But Again, if it works and they nail it like they did on the weekend, it's pretty hard and it works in their favor. So
Yeah.
and he had the
I
right
guess,
to defend it. They got that worked for him. So
well, I guess you kind of should use the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, kind of be in that mindset, but also you don't want to be 100% negative. So when the time's right, attack for the ball. And obviously that's when you got to in a position to do an attacking kick, which is going to be deep into the half. So, look, we have seen the boys attack for more kicks in those kind of areas. So let's hope that moving forward into this Cowboys match, we might have to step up the attack a bit. But I don't know. I guess we'll get into it more on the analysis side of things, James. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether we double down on the slogfest or if we, bring a bit more of a spark back against the Cowboys, who are traditionally known as an attacking team.
Yeah, and the thing is, slogfest will work if you drag that other team into the grind with you. But I mean, if say if the Cowboys get out to an early 2-try advantage or something like that, then slogfest ain't going to do much for you. You got to score points. But yeah. Look, I hope they're a little bit more adventurous. They were conservative on the weekend, but I mean, in general, I thought it was a pretty conservative game. The Dolphins didn't throw heaps at us either.
Yeah,
basically everything came off the fullback. He was the dangerous one. Without him, nothing was happening. So yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do this week.
Yeah, 100%. And the last point that I took out of the conference is that he basically said that no one really had him in the 8 at the start of the year, which I think that's not true. But basically what he's, I think, trying to do there is take the pressure off the team and to use the underdog status. So I can see where he's coming from with that. But yeah, it's not accurate. We definitely had them in the top 8, and a number of other commentators did as well. James, you want to run us over your final analysis?
Yeah, no worries. My first point, I've got the Knights dominated the early stages with great line speed and making yardage with the ball. It was evident slogfest was the game plan that day. I thought pretty dominant, like I said, early in the game, but then the Dolphins sort of came back into it slightly. Obviously, they got that try disallowed, which would have, if that was allowed, it would have changed the momentum. But I thought in general we handled that early period pretty good without actually scoring some points. Yeah. Next point, the Dolphins started to gain a bit of ascendancy around the 20-minute mark. Both forward packs starting to tire. Fuller was really dangerous, so I was constantly worried about him. But yeah, luckily for the Knights, the Dolphins had a try disallowed. We went to the break at 6-0. Looked very comfortable defensively in the opening half, I thought. Apart from some lapses on Fuller off the kick, which we ended up rectifying. Next point, came out of the box strong and put another try on the board, followed by a penalty goal to go up 14-0. At this point, I thought we're just going to be like a python and squeeze the crap out of them, which pretty much we did. Next point, we couldn't seem to put the Dolphins away, but never really looked like losing control, besides a few shaky minutes when the Dolphins were down to 12 men. I know they sort of started chancing themselves a bit more then when they were down, when I think it was Bromwich was off. They got a try, actually. So, which was pretty disappointing. But, my final point, overall, a win built on defense and strangling the opposition. It wasn't pretty, but it got the job done and gave the Knights 8th spot and a trip to Brownsville next week. Bring it on.
Brownsville? What's Brownsville?
That's just what we call it up here because it's very...
you call it Brownsville?
It's not very green, yeah.
It's brown there, huh?
Pretty much.
I've never been in Townsville. Interesting. Brownsville. Well, there you go. There you go, everyone. For the non-Queenslanders out there. Brownsville, not Townsville. Rightio.
Maybe it's just the Cairns thing. I'm not sure.
Well summed up. All right. Well, let's run through your 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, got KP as my 3. It was, again, a no-brainer. Everything came off the back of him when it came to our attacking stuff. He made a few errors, but he, the most influential player on the field. he was attacking the game. He was going after it. He was doing hit-ups. Yeah, really impressed with his performance. And he's just, I'm loving his attitude at the moment. He's just getting stuck in. So he got my 3 points. I thought Greg Marzio was fantastic. He was just a powerhouse coming out of the back end for pretty much the whole game. And I gave 1 point to Jack Cogger. I thought he was really solid. Good kicking game. He was getting us around the field. He was looking a bit more direct in attack, and he was the week before as well. So, we've all been pretty critical of Jack this season when he's had his opportunities. But I feel the last 3 games, particularly last week and this week, he's been definitely improvement, and he looks comfortable there, which is good.
Yeah. Yep. Hard to disagree. And I think he's got his confidence levels up, and he's they've had that halves combo now for 4 weeks, and it's they've got 3 wins and 1 loss, and they're pretty close to beating the Sharks. So what did I say, James? I'd eat my hat on this podcast, didn't I? If the Knights made the finals. Yeah. So and I did call out O'Brien to call him a muppet for picking Cogger. So sorry, AOB. It's a public apology. Look, at that time when he picked Cogger in the halves, I didn't think it was the right call, and we still would never know whether keeping Hastings there would have worked as well. But ultimately they've got the results, so it didn't look good. I still back the Knights, even regardless of him making that call to put Cogger there. I still backed the team, and I backed him. But I didn't think it was the right call. But I still thought overall the team would still do well towards the end of the year. So that's why we put our money where our mouth was. But yeah, obviously I gotta eat my hat, don't I? Like I said I would. Happy to eat my hat.
That's it, mate. Credit where credit's due.
Credit where it's due. Yep. And I did also put a post up immediately after the match, and basically congratulated O'Brien and the team for making the finals. And when it really counted, they got the job done. We'll get into it in a second in terms of the overall season review. But yeah, well done. They made the top 8, and that's got to be at least a pass. Okay, so my 3-2-1 KP got 3 for me, and then Adam Elliott got 2. I thought Adam Elliott was outstanding. I think his best match of the year. He seems to just have a bit more of a run-first mentality. And I think he was really solid in defense and energy. So yeah, it was 2 for me, and then Brayley got 1. He topped the tackle count again, and I thought he was just really effective out of the dummy half position. So some good darts again. He did well.
Yeah.
And if we have a look at the Player of the Year ladder, we've got Kalen Ponga now on 37. Pretty clear lead there, but it's not impossible for Bradman Best on 26, Dylan Lucas on 25, Dane Gagai on 25. They're the 4 players that can win the inaugural United Player of the Year. And it looks like at this stage it'll be KP, and if they lose this week, he's won it. But if not, they keep marching on. Who knows? Best Lucas or Gagai might be able to catch up to him. Rightio. So let's have a look at the finals week 1 layout. I've done the ladder predictor on NRL.com. I basically nailed it before that Sharks match, and that's what allowed me to kind of even think about backing the Knights when it was looking pretty unlikely that we were going to make the finals at that stage, and we just selected Cogger in the team in the halves. And we dropped Hastings. So anyway, this ladder predictor has helped me this year, and this is how I've got it going. You can see the green selections there. So this week, to be really straightforward, I haven't come up with a final pick at this stage. I haven't moved past the weekend result just yet. It was a big win for us. It's still pretty early. It's only a couple of days after that win, and I really haven't got my head into this game yet. So I will write an article later on during the week and put a prediction down. And I've been on a pretty good run actually since I've been writing these articles. I haven't been wrong for the last 3 weeks. So yeah, look, there it is. It's all laid out, James. What do you think about week 1? Would you change any of those results?
At the moment, I think you're pretty spot on. Oh, actually, look, I obviously the Knights. I'm probably.
We're just assuming that the Knights win.
Assuming that the Knights win, yep. Probably. I actually think the Sharks are going to give Melbourne a bit of a run down there, but whether or not they win, but that could be a bit of a change up. Which obviously going into week 2, if that happens and we win, that becomes a different story for us, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, either way, it's still going to be a hard match in the second week. A trip up to Brownsville, and then then a match against either the Storm or the Sharks. But so there you go. The finals week 2. So at this stage, if we get through, most likely we'll play the Sharks. That's going to be a hard one because I think that's going to also be a home match for the Sharks as well.
Yeah, but you know what? We pretty much should have beat them a month ago. I know semis are a different ball game, but we take a lot of confidence.
They also had players out. Remember, they lost a couple of players before the match with the flu, and they didn't have Nico Hines either. So
Nico's a bit of a choker, though, isn't he?
Yeah, well, maybe he's not. Maybe he'll step up and
I like him.
I think it'll be a lot harder match than what it was when we went there. But the good thing might be is that who knows who gets injured. Who knows how much a loss to Melbourne will take out of them if they lose to Melbourne, and how much Melbourne give it to them, and how much belief they lose from getting flogged if they get flogged, for example. So, that's how it looks like at this stage. That if we can manage to beat the Cowboys, which I think is going to be very challenging to win that match, I'm not feeling confident right now. But there's some things that will go into it in the analysis, but there are some things that give me some confidence. So I still haven't made up my mind. But yeah, if we get through that one, most likely we've got the Sharks. If we win that, then we're going to be looking at playing the Panthers now. The Panthers most likely will win their first week. It means that the Panthers will be rested for that. I think they'll beat the Roosters. The Roosters have got a terrible record against the Panthers, and Cleary's back. So most likely it'll be a match against Penrith to get into the grand final if they made it that far. That'd be awesome if we could make a prelim.
Yeah, and who would have
thought?
We're
2 matches away from
it. Well, that's the way the boys have got to think. It's been a tough old season, but just really got to be fired up and just thinking about what can happen. Got to dream big at this time of year, don't you? Believe it can happen.
And it could be one of those things like we were underdogs going into both grand finals that we played, 97 and against the Eels there in the early 2000s. Yeah, so look, O'Brien's playing on this underdog thing as well. Funnier things have happened, haven't they? Who knows? We might make the grand final. And Penrith they're not 100% on right now, are they? So, and I think in all the recent games we've played them, the last 2 or 3 games, we've only lost by 8 points to the Panthers. So, it's not impossible. Anything's possible now we're in the finals.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, look, we're really comfortable with the way that we're defending at the moment. Like in our defense all year, I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we were 6th or 7th in defense, throughout the whole competition.
It's around that, yeah. We've got better defense than the Cowboys do. I know that.
Yeah. So we've had good defense, but obviously, and this is what concerns me, is that if things don't go the way they want it to go in a game, that they don't have the ability to put points on. They can put points on if they're confident, but
The last 4 weeks we've put points on. We only scored 2 tries against the Dolphins, and I really, God, we were pretty close to finishing them. We only needed to really score one more try, and to a certain extent, we kind of keep the Dolphins in that match with a chance to get us because we played a bit too conservative, and we didn't really with the 12 errors, we weren't able to apply pressure for long enough. So I thought we won it comfortably, but we could have won it by a lot more as well. But with everything that was on the line, they got the win, and I guess that's the style of footy that O'Brien's trying to get the team to play, and it's working. So I don't care if we win by 1 point. Let's just see if we can get a win there, and then let's move into our 2024 pass or fail. So we've now been through 27 rounds. We've played 24 matches. With a winning strike rate of 50%. So Adam O'Brien's overall record as a coach is at 46%. I thought our performance level was there for 18 matches. So we basically, 3 of those, 25% of the matches. So 3 times out of 4 we turned up, 1 time out of 4 we didn't turn up. That's my opinion. And I think you can see there in the orange, is a little bit faint there to see, but ultimately, I think because we've made the finals, you'd have to say it's a pass. But we're 4 wins short of making the top 4. So, overall, I think it's a pass. It's going to depend on how we play in the final and how we stand up against the Cowboys, and we're going to see whether this style of football that O'Brien's been getting the side to focus and concentrate on is actually going to, work in the finals, because, I was going to do it before this, but I didn't. I know the record. It's basically we've made now finals 4 years out of the 5 years O'Brien's been there. But for the 3 years that we've been in the finals, we've had 3 losses and 1 win.
Yeah, and we were 8th spot on 3 of those times, weren't we?
Yeah, we've always just scraped in. Last year we were 5th, and we won our finals match at home. But we only just scraped through and won that match, but we won it. So credit to the boys. But look, let's face it, O'Brien doesn't have a good record as a coach in the finals. 1 win out of 3. That's a 25% winning record in finals. And look, I mean, ultimately, I believe that the squad's underachieved this year. I mean, make 8th. I think we could have done a lot better than that. I think we could have been closer to the top 4 if we got the formula right with the team. And I think he has made some mistakes this year with the coaching in terms of tactics and team selections, mainly team selections, but also the tactics as well. And we've questioned that all throughout the season. But in saying that, the players adhere to him, so he must be a good bloke, and they must believe in him, and they've stuck with him. And basically, O'Brien, his career's been on the ropes 2 times in the last 2 years. I think if they lost that match to the Bulldogs last year,
gone.
I think he would have been gone. And I think if we lost to the Tigers this year, when we won that match against the Tigers at home, there's a really good chance that that might have triggered the fall of him as well. And there was a bit of pressure, a bit of media going on around that time too. So he's it's not like he's passing with flying colours. It's like just kind of by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, and look, I think obviously this year it's been a great effort for the boys to it's been, I wouldn't say turmoil, but it's been a tough season. There's been so much interruption in the team and changing, and O'Brien's made some questionable decisions when it comes to strategy, and just in general he's been a bit all over the shop. For the boys to actually be putting in the effort as much as they have this year and not fall apart, and to make the 8, I think, like you said earlier, it sort of does show that they do they care, and also they obviously think pretty highly of him. Otherwise, they would have packed it in ages ago. So yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have been higher up the ladder. I think we all would, but considering the circumstances this year, at times, I think the boys have done a fantastic job to be in the position that we're in right now.
So we've got another comment here from Jeff. Jeff feels in some ways that people underestimate Adam O'Brien. What do you think of that comment, James?
I don't know. I mean, I think he's come in for some fair criticism. I mean,
yeah,
he's made some pretty poor choices, and also, you know, you can't sort of get around the fact that his record isn't fantastic. You know, he's sort of, you know, he's sort of come off the back of the whole I've been at Melbourne, I've been at the Roosters thing, and I know success. I've been around success, but you know, you've got to deliver that yourself. You can't live off that for the rest of your career. I've no doubt he's a, you know, he's a very old school in a way. Like you can tell there's that DNA of Bellamy and stuff like that in there, but there's just some things that I find that go missing in when it comes to strategy and just being a bit too what's the word, stubborn, for want of a better word. He can, you know, just be incredibly stubborn. But look, I don't think they underestimate him. I think they sort of, if you watch NRL 360, for instance, I remember what's his name, Buzz was banging on him about him constantly, saying how good he was. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that one?
I agree with your comment that you know, it's probably you know, it's justified, the criticism. I can kind of see Jeff's point as well. But look, Jeff, I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see the results of O'Brien's coaching on Saturday night. You know, our record in the finals is at 25% win strike rate, so 1 out of 4. It's not very good, and ultimately, if we bounce out of the finals again here, that's going to be 1 of 5 and 20%. And I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to ask yourself the question: is that good enough for our club? Do we want to have a team that basically scratches into the 8 and gets beat every week in the first round of the finals? I don't. And something that we're quite passionate about, James, is that we want to have a side that competes for the top 4 and competes for premierships. So yeah. I'm still pretty confident that O'Brien's, at this point, he hasn't shown me that he's the coach to do that. Doesn't mean that he can't. Doesn't mean that he can't improve himself if he gets the right attacking coach next year around him. I think McDermott's a good coach to have around him, and if he's willing to, you know, work on. I mean, the stubbornness is a good thing, but it's also a weakness in some ways as well. So, look, he seems like a good bloke, and he definitely knows football. And you know, he's got us into the finals again. So we'll do a season review after we lose our last game for the season. Hopefully, that's not for a few more weeks at least. So you know, he's the team and the coach have got our full support, and you know, we're happy that we got into the finals. But you know, what's the point of making the finals if you get bundled out in the first week? There's no improvement in terms of progressing further. And I mean, ultimately, you know, we want to win a premiership, or at least make a prelim or get into a grand final to be happy. If we don't sort of get that, I think that's my minimum expectation for our club, is that we should be making prelims.
And you know what? We need to make the most of this period where Ponga's here, and you know, he's at his best as far as you know, what in the next 2 years he's going to be pushing late 20s. You know, he's sort of in his prime now. We don't want to waste that window that we have with him because we don't know what's going to happen after the next contract. So it'd be a shame if we had him for 5 years or whatever, and then we just weren't at our best and didn't really give it a good shake because a lot of the players don't come around to our club often like that. We find it hard to attract players of that caliber. So I feel we really needed to make that make it count, really.
Yeah, and I think also some comments in the media have been annoying me. In the last kind of week or so, everyone's kind of saying that the Knights are a one man team with Ponga. Look, the best way to explain it is that the club's made a decision to pick a player, number one, to attract a squad around him, which he's achieved, because we do have a good squad and we've been able to recruit good players to the club, and you need to do that to have a good team that's actually going to win. So, paying him the money in the earlier days and to keep him, to build a good side around him, I think that's been part of the strategy. And let's face it, like if Andrew Johns didn't play in the grand final against Manly, we wouldn't have won that match. And if he didn't play against the Eels in the grand final, we probably wouldn't have won that either. So ultimately, you need your best player out there performing to win the big matches. So everyone kind of saying that we're a one-man team and that's our weakness. Well, then, it's kind of irrelevant at the end of the day. That's the strategy that we've taken is, okay, we're going to pick this guy. He's one of the best players in the league. He's going to be maybe the best, and we're going to build a team around him. Now, if that means that there's some bad luck, in some seasons and he gets injured or, things don't work out, then it doesn't work. That's the strategy that the club's decided to take with the recruitment of this side. So that's what we have an opportunity now with the fit and healthy Ponga in form to take us deep into the finals with the players that we've got around him, because we do have a very talented squad. We've got two Origin centres.
Fletcher Sharp,
good juniors that have really stood up and come through the system this year. Maybe our halves combination is a bit more settled now. Cogger played in a winning grand final last year. We've got Daniel Safidi, ex-Origin player, Tyson Frizzell, ex-Origin player, Dylan Lucas, potential future Origin player, Leo Thompson, international, plays in New Zealand, I think. So, we've got a pretty healthy squad and roster, and you chuck Ponga into that mix, who's potentially he's definitely a top 5 player in the comp and one of the most influential, if not the most influential player in the comp, maybe apart from Cleary. That's the strategy that the clubs put forward, and it's a more risky strategy, because if everything kind of does revolve around him in terms of our top level performance, but overall, that's where we're at. We've given ourselves a chance, and like we said, we probably should be a little bit up on the ladder compared to where we are, and that's something for them to look at the end of the year, and we'll see where we end up. Hey, James, it's going to be really interesting. Let's just take it 1 week at a time, eh? It's going to be a really interesting match on Saturday night. Rightio. Let's call half time. It's Oranges, James. We're going to get into a message from our season sponsor, MB Optimal Oral Care. MB Optimal Oral Care are our season sponsor of the Knighthood podcast. They have a range of zero plastic oral care products that are best for you and best for the planet. You can check out their full range of products via Chemist Warehouse online. Find the link in the description. Thanks, MB Optimal Oral Care, for sponsoring the Knighthood podcast for the 2024 NRL season. They've got a range of eco-friendly oral care products that are best for you and best for the planet. You can find these products on Chemist Warehouse online if you search MB, EMBI, space OOC. That stands for MB Optimal Oral Care, MB OOC on Chemist Warehouse online. Check them out today. Rightio, James. We're going to get into the injuries and suspensions for both sides. Let's get cracking into that now. So at the moment, we've got Tawala on the list. He's out and he won't be back, I guess, this year unless there's a major injury to one of our outside backs. He might be lurking there in the shadows, waiting on a potential comeback. We've also got Jacob Safidi. It's a possibility that he might come back next week, but I guess it depends on how deep we go into the finals, because do we really need Jacob Safidi right now based on the balance of the squad and who's in form and who's got momentum and match fitness and all that kind of stuff? I don't think we do. I don't think we do.
No.
But look, he's a handy player, obviously, to have there. And same goes to KPP. So, God, he was good, wasn't he? But he did taper off his form a little bit towards the end of his run before he got injured. And it's really hard to find a place for him now. I think Big Bad Brody Jones is he deserves his spot there on the bench. He's a bit more versatile as well.
Yeah, and I don't think, KPP sort of fitted for that sort of come off the bench and just I don't know. He's and the thing is, he did sort of peak sort of a few games into the season, and he didn't play terribly at all. He was really solid, but he didn't go to the next level, and which we thought he would. But in saying that, I don't think
I think that was the coaching.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that was more to do with AOB's sort of the way he was utilizing him. And I'm just not sure how you'd want to utilize a guy like that off the bench. I mean, Jones is doing a fine job. He's just having a bit of an impact, and I think I'd prefer to keep him there than maybe not get that sort of impact from KPP. So I think he's probably just going to languish for the rest of the season.
Yeah. So look, we're at an 88% full strength rating, and so are the Cowboys. After I've because the smiley faces and the red crossouts. Well, then I've had to kind of dive into actually who is in and who's out based on the teams list. And overall, I've rated them at an 88% full strength rating, the Cowboys. So, in terms of squad strength from injuries, both teams are pretty evenly matched, I believe. There's no players in key positions out. I think we rule out any team having an advantage or disadvantage based on injuries. Then I guess the other thing we got to look at is momentum. I think the Knights it'd be fair to say we've got more momentum than what the Cowboys have. Cowboys have got one good win. And as Jeff mentioned, against a side that was, probably on the down in the Dogs. So we've got 3 wins and a really close loss to the Sharks. So I might just have a quick look on NRL.com. Won't take me a sec. We'll just have a look at the last. We'll have a look at the last 4 matches for the Cowboys. So Cowboys last 4 matches. We had a 44-6 win over the Bulldogs on Saturday, and then we had an 8-point win at home to the Storm, which is virtually Storm reserve grade team. They had a bye, so they got a rest. They touched up the Raiders 42-4 at home, so that's a good win. Especially because after that the Raiders came out and played pretty well after that, didn't they? So
they won their last 3.
Yeah, they lost. The Broncos touched them up 42-18.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
they can leak points, the Cowboys, when it doesn't go right for them.
Yeah, 100%. We're getting closer and closer to it. It is a bit of a theme, isn't it? Defense. It's really defense versus attack this semi-final. So, look, let's run through the teams list. I don't know if you've got your phone in front of you there, James. Do you want to run us through?
Yeah, I'll go through it. All right, the backs for the Knights, we've got Kalen Ponga, Fletcher Sharp, and Greg Marzio on the wings. In the centers, we've got Dane Gagai and Bradman Best. In the halves, we've got Jack Cogger and Phoenix Crossland. For the Cowboys, we got Scott Drinkwater at fullback, Kyle Felt and Murray Taulagi on the wings. In the centers, we got Valentine Holmes and Viliami Walia. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yep.
In the halves, we've got Tom Dearden and played with the Knights, Jake Clifford, originally from North Queensland, and then came to the Knights, and then I think he went to England, then back at the Cowboys. So, and he's been playing quite good actually. So, yeah, what are your thoughts there with those matchups in the backs?
Yeah, I mean that's potentially a good halves combination with Dearden and Clifford. Clifford seems to complement Dearden, and he's got a good kicking game. And yeah, look, if you want to go into Adam O'Brien again, I mean, I don't want to, but I mean, he was a player that was at the club under O'Brien, and that didn't work out for whatever reason. I don't know what it was. But yeah, it didn't work out at Newcastle, and maybe it should have. I don't know, but he's obviously got potential. I think he had some personal problems. I don't know what happened with Clifford. But yeah, look, all we can do is focus on this week, and he's in form, and Dearden's a state of origin player and their captain, and they've got some strike out wide. But I mean, I wouldn't swap maybe I'd swap the halves, but I wouldn't swap our back five for their back five.
No, and I mean, it's sort of similar to how we played against the Dolphins. I mean, the major thing is Scott Drinkwater. You know, we're going to have our eye on him with our kick chase again. So I'm pretty sure, you know, we'll try and nail that side of things like we did against Fuller. But I mean, Dearden's a real.
I think the Dolphins' back five is better than the Cowboys.
They're probably more dangerous. But, you know, you got a lot of experience.
And the Hammer and Fuller, he was a handful.
But, I reckon experience, Valentine's experience.
Well, Felt's on the way out. It's his last season. Talangi's an origin player. So is Holmes.
Dearden's a great runner of the footy.
Yeah, look, I rate the Cowboys. I think they're dangerous. But I think we're dangerous too. I mean, we've got Dane Gagai, Bradman Best, Fletcher Sharp, up and comer. Marju, really solid, but has his downsides. Yeah, obviously Ponga, King Ponga. And then, you know,
they're not fast, really, are they? They're not a blisteringly fast team in the backs. It's, I mean, take Drinkwater out. You know, Felt's not fast. Really, Taulongi's not noted as a massive speedster. Valentine Holmes is sort of, you know, yeah. I mean, I think we can handle them. To be honest, looking at it,
that's what I think too. I think we can handle them.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. So hopefully our half combination keeps building, and that to me the only area there is, you know, if our halves combination had played a little bit longer together during the season, I'd be feeling more confident. But you can also say the same for the Cowboys. But how long has Clifford been in the team? Since he was
about 4 weeks, maybe. It hasn't been long at all.
Well, this can be another thing that we have a quick look at that could be quite important. Okay.
Because I was surprised when I saw him there. I was like, he's back. I didn't know he was back.
Yeah, so let's just have a quick look. So I wonder I think it might have been that Raiders match is when he came in. But let's just have a look and see. I don't think he played in this match against the Broncos. I think that's when he might have got dropped, Townsend.
Yep, I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so Townsend, he was in against the Broncos, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yep, Clifford came in for the match against the Raiders and they put 42 on him. So maybe Clifford coming in was a bit of a key to their attack. And he's been so that gives him it's funny. Gives him 4 matches. So our halves have also played 4 matches together. So yeah.
Interesting matchup, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who would you God. It's hard. I don't know. If you had to swap would you keep if you had to pick one or the other, it's a hard one. I mean, Dearden's a really good player, but Cogger's starting to show what he can do, and Phoenix Crossland wears his heart on his sleeve. Maybe Clifford could be still a bit temperamental. We might be able to ruffle his feathers a little bit here, I think.
Yeah, hopefully. And the one thing I like about our halves as well, Phoenix is used to the heavy stuff, so any sort of defensive load's not going to really worry him, is it? So they can he's not a target defensively as a weak defender. So
yep.
Yeah, he's a very strong defender. So I mean, that's something we need to do. Let's test Clifford out, see how he goes.
Yeah, I reckon test Clifford out.
Yep.
100%. Put some pressure on him, and he might crack, especially against the Knights, who he used to play for. All right, let's go through the forwards.
All right. For the Knights, we've got Daniel Saifidi and Leo Thompson in the front row, Jaden Brayley at hooker. Back row, we've got Tyson Frizzell and Dylan Lucas with the Kettle, Adam Elliott at lock.
Unchanged.
And for the Cowboys, unchanged, yeah. For the Cowboys, we've got Jordan McLean. I think he comes in. And Jason Taumalolo in the front row with Reece Robson at hooker. The back row, we've got Helam Lukey and Jeremiah Nane with Ruben Cotter at lock. So, good forward pack. But I think we can handle them as well.
I wouldn't swap our front rowers for theirs. Brayley's been going pretty well. But Robson's a good player. I played well in State of Origin.
You're going to get more work out of Ruben Cotter than Adam Elliott as far as carting the ball up, but he plays different.
But the Kettle's been running hot, man. It's been whistling. So I think he's coming into form at the right time of the year, Adam Elliott, and I think our back row is as good as any back row. However, Nanai is he's a really good player. And
it's a good matchup, isn't it?
Lukey's a good player too.
Yeah,
it's a great matchup in the back row. Great matchup in the lock position. I think we've got an edge in the front row, and maybe you give a slight edge to Robson over Brayley. But in saying that, Brayley has been playing, I think, quite well. So, look, it's pretty even, don't you think?
It is
so far.
It's looking even.
13. Yep. All right, let's go through the interchange.
Okay, for the Knights at 14, we've got Tyson Gamble, Matt Croker, Jack Hetherington, who's been playing really well, and also Brody Jones, who's been playing really well. And
Unchanged.
the Cowboys, we've got Sam McIntyre, Harrison Edwards, Kulakefu Fini Fuyaki. Is that how you say it? We'll go with that.
Well done.
Sorry, mate, hopefully I didn't butcher that.
You got it well.
And number 17 for the Cowboys, Griffin Neem, so big body off the bench there. But again, we've got a big body Hetherington, and it's looking quite even on the bench there as well, really.
I'd say so. I think we've got a really good balance on our bench at the moment. And what do you think about the tactic to bring Gamble on in the last sort of 15 minutes of that match on Monday?
He didn't really. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't. Nothing really stood out. I think he just threw him out there, and
I think at that point, the match was still on the line, and to introduce another player into the halves it was a risk. Unless he was noticing that Phoenix was kind of gassing. I don't know. I didn't like it. I just thought it was a bit odd at that stage of the game when it was still on the line to bring in a different element when we kind of had him had him by the jugular.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's been a contentious position all year, our 14.
Yeah.
What we expect to get out of it. Nothing against Tyson Gamble, but he's not the most dynamic of players. He's solid, and he's, but AOB hasn't sort of gone down that path too much of trying to get some sort of a strike player at 14. He tried Will Price for a bit, but you can tell he's not overly content with having someone like that or Will Price there. So
yeah,
I think he'll use Tyson as a bit of backup,
I'd be more inclined to have Thomas Can on the bench and bring a little bit more firepower into the rotation there, and just maybe roll the dice a little bit with the halves. Just most of the time the halves are going to get through the match, so roll the dice a bit, and I don't know. It's O'Brien's the one there making the big calls, isn't he? So I don't mind Gamble as a player. Probably deserves his spot in the team.
I like him.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. I don't think KPP is going to come into calculation either. So, look, that's the team unchanged, isn't it? And I think lining up head to head from 1 to 13, and then looking at the bench, have to say that it's pretty even.
Yeah, and you know what? Just hopefully we get I know we can't do anything about it when it comes to refereeing and stuff, but hopefully we get a fair rub of the green when it comes to the ref, and in that hostile environment, and he doesn't get to whistle happy, when the Cowboys fans start baying for blood and asking for a penalty. I think it's going to be pretty even contest, to be honest, looking at that.
Yeah, I agree. So the ref is Todd Smith. We've had 2 matches with him. We've never won. And sorry, that's not the Sharks. That's the Cowboys. Have a 50% strike rate. They also haven't played a lot of matches either. The weather's going to be 23 degrees, 3% chance of rain, humidity 68%, and wind at 24 kilometers an hour. And what I noted there was those are very similar conditions to last Sunday in Newcastle. So when it comes to kind of body rhythm and playing in similar conditions, even though Townsville's meant to be humid and hot, this is going to be played at 8 o'clock at night, and the temperature will be dropping. Doesn't look like it's going to be overly hot, and doesn't look like it's going to be overly humid. And there is going to be a bit of a breeze. So we're used to playing with a bit of a breeze lately, which I think is good. And here's some key points of analysis. Our defense is for the year 510 points conceded compared to the Cowboys 568. So we have a key defensive advantage, I think, and our mentality is more based on defense right now, and I think that's going to be worrying the Cowboys. I think bad habits come up in big matches, so I think the Cowboys have been more inconsistent than us, and they've lost 5 matches at home this year, which is a bit un-Cowboy-like in some respects. I think the Cowboys' attack is dangerous, but so is Newcastle's. I mean, look at we've put points on in the last 4 weeks. And if it goes into a bit more of an attacking style, I think we can go with them. I really do. If we really had to put everything on the line, nothing to lose, I think we're a very dangerous attacking side. And it really could come out in a big match like this. However, I do think it'll be defensive minded, and I think I've made a point there on the bottom that the refereeing in the ruck will be critical to the result, and I've got a feeling that it could go against us. And if it does, I think the Cowboys will win. I feel pretty strongly about that. So let's see if it pans out. But I think that's the most critical thing actually this week is the refereeing and the interpretation of the rules and interpretation of the ruck more specifically. So the other thing that's in our favour is that we've been able to get a charter flight from the NRL. So that means I can catch a flight, I think, from maybe Williamtown. And, it's not long travel on a bus or anything, and they go straight to the location, which I think is a good thing for us.
It's all about the charter flights at the moment, isn't it? I think the Cowboys did that against the Dogs. It was a bit of a hit and run mission, as they said during the commentary. Yeah.
So no doubt the Cowboys definitely going to be well prepared. Rightio. So let's get into the betting notes. Look, James, we landed the heist. We backed the Knights to make the top 8, and we pulled it off at $8.25. Yeah, I'm really happy. It was it was a great pick. I won't go on about it too much. We landed it, so that's what happens at the Knighthood. I did it last year as well. I picked the Knights to make the top 8, and I got odds of about $7. And at the start of the year, we did tip it. We actually tipped it in one of the episodes. I think it was the match before, might have been before the Roosters or before the Dragons game. I said back the Knights at around $3 to make the top 8. And then we made the proper call before the Sharks match. So that was great. James, you landed a head-to-head bet, and I landed a head-to-head bet. And then you can see there as well, my Twitter post, we landed a live bet as well. So that takes my tally for the Knighthood podcast this year. For if you put $100 in every tip we put on, you would have made $1,437 at a 40% return on investment. So I can give myself a clap there for that. That's I don't think I could do better than that. The top 8 bet obviously added some juice to that. So yeah, such a good return result. But overall, I've tipped at 67% for the year, 24 wins, 12 losses. And my average winning odds is $2.10. And on live bets, I'm now 10 wins and 4 losses at 71%. So I've really got a good flow with the live bets. And I think I've landed like 6 or 7 bets in a row to finish the season. So, yeah, I'm really happy. Couldn't be happier. It's to be at 40% profit. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else out there with that type of a record at the moment that I've seen in public. So, yeah, couldn't be happier. Very, very good. And great result for you too as well, James. The novice, we've got you to 9% profit for the year, plus $105 if you back James's tips. So you've crawled your way up there to 9%, mate. Well done.
Mr. Conservative. Yeah, I'm really happy with that, to be honest. It's been a learning curve this year. I'm happy to be in the plus. So I'm actually really looking forward to next year, and not that this year's over yet, but next year, and sort of taking the next step when it comes to the tipping, and improving on this year. So it's been enjoyable, and glad I haven't ended in the minus. That's for sure.
No, it's great, man. Your first year, and I think you've got a good foundation to move into to next year. And the season's not over yet. My head's still not around this week's selections, and to be honest, mate, that kind of had a grand final feeling for me. Maybe I'll change my mind by the end of the week, by Saturday, but especially with my live betting percentage. But look, if I had to pick a winner at this stage, it's tough. It's 50-50 in my mind. It's a tough one. So I'm not sure. You'll have to stay tuned into Twitter and X. We'll put some tips up there. And look, the other thing there is, if this is a really good thing for us to have a look at as well. So James, if the average punter just backed the Knights in the matches this year at 50% strike rate, you'd be losing 7% of your money. So that's what happens. The bookies have an advantage, and even if you get 12 and 12, you think you'd break even. You don't. So the bookies have always got it in their advantage. So James, to get 9%, you've beat the bookies, and 40%, I've pulled off a heist. So that's
been a great effort.
It's been a great effort. Really happy with the betting tally, and my aim was to get to 25%. Smashed it. The top 8 bet definitely helped with that. So, yeah, I think anything, if you even breaking even you've won, because it's, as you can see there, the bookies have got the advantage. But anything in profit is a good result. So well done, James. And I think we should get a lot of credibility from the results that we've got. And every bet we've placed has been documented. We've put ourselves on the line from round one, and everything we've done is all there on the record. So it's all there. It's all legit. Every bet placed was on X as well, all the live bets. So yeah, look, a great result overall. Really happy with that. So yeah, if you want to learn how to bet and get the good oil from the knighthood, stick with us. Current odds for this week's match are brought to you by Top Sport. If you're having a bet, have it with Toppy. Knights to win, $2.88. Cowboys to win, $1.42. Knights at the line, plus 7.5 at $1.90. Knights 1 to 12 at $4.20. Knights 13 plus at $7.50. James, are you thinking about betting this week?
At the moment, no. I'll be. I think I'll be sitting out, but I'll make that decision leading up to the game if anything sort of changes. I'm sort of leaning towards the Cowboys winning this game. Obviously, it's a home semi-final. The referee is a huge factor, which we've already touched on. But I totally hope the boys smash them and put in a great performance. But right now, I just can't make a decision as far as that they're going to win. It's going to be really, really tough. But I will confirm that prior to the game.
Yeah, confirm prior to the game. Like I said, I'll also confirm prior to the game. Look, there's a good chance that I might I'll be watching this really close and looking at a live bet. It's good odds for the Knights there at 288, and I think ultimately this just comes down to who's going to execute what they've been doing best better. Are the Cowboys going to be able to attack better than what we can, or is defense going to actually be the thing that holds up? And look, if it's defense that holds up, which traditionally is what the best teams do defensively, we should be winning this match. The thing that concerns me is the ref and the ruck interpretation and
the leg ups.
I hate to say it, we've only had this ref twice, and we've never won with him. And I think it's critical to this match. I really think it is, because if the Cowboys get easy penalties out of their own half, that's going to put us under a lot of pressure. And I think that's the thing that will basically equalize us having a better defense, is the refs giving them leg out. So if you're seeing that, remember what I said, because I think ultimately that could be critical in terms of this match and the result. So hopefully, even if he refs that way, hopefully we get that as well, which will keep it fair and open. So I think we can go head to head with the Cowboys, but you just don't want to let the Cowboys get momentum and score 2 or 3 tries in succession, because they are capable of it. And if that happens, the match will be, pretty hard to claw back from that kind of a position. So, look, no bets from us at this point. Look out for our next article on socials, which will be out, I would say probably on Friday, with a match prediction. And tune into X for our pre-match, and look out for any live bets. So, look, that gets us to the end of the show. I just want to bring up a couple of things here just to touch on. Where are we? Geez, I'm tired. I think that game took it out of me, James. I'm really tired today. If you guys have liked what we've done this year and like what we've done tonight, please like us on YouTube and hit the subscribe button to stay in touch on a weekly basis. Has been a long season, James. We've done 27 episodes, mate. And look, we pulled off the heist. We've got a good betting record, and I think a lot of our takes have been quite accurate. So yeah, if everyone's liking that content and wants to support us, we need to build up our subscriber base and get this out to more. Newcastle Knights supporters. You can also find us on the audios on Spotify and also on Apple. And if you listen on those, thanks for tuning in. It is building up, and give us a 5-star review because that helps us get out there into more Knights fans as well. And we've got social pages on Facebook and also on X. So you can find us on there, the Knighthood Podcast. So tune in on those channels. James, what's your final thoughts?
We've pretty much gone through it. I'm hoping the boys. I'm pretty confident if we get a fair rub of the green, with regards to the referees, that we'll take care of ourselves, pretty well. But again, home semi-final, hostile crowd. I'm just not confident with this referee, and he's going to give legs up to the Cowboys out of their own end, and they love playing off the back of that fast stuff. That's my fear. Yeah. But we looked at the teams, and it's pretty even matchup. So I think if we get a fair rub of the green, that the boys can definitely spring a win. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to it, and I'm hoping for a victory. And bring it on. Go the Knights.
Yeah, that's it. It's great that we made the top 8, and we've put ourselves in a position now. We're in the finals, and I guess my final thoughts are that O'Brien, he's got us into the finals for 4 years, but he has got a winning strike rate of 25%. So does that go down to 20%, or does he improve on that and maybe gets us into the second week of the finals where we can get ourselves into a position to really, potentially challenge for a prelim? But the path is not so easy. A trip to Townsville, and then the week after that, most likely a trip to Shark Park or Melbourne, and then tough. back to Sydney against the Panthers. So it's not an easy road, but it's not impossible either. So I kind of, when I was watching that match on Sunday with the defense, it was kind of reminding me a bit of the 97 grand final, just the desperation. I think the old boys kind of day, I just felt that energy. So I hope that they can bring what they had there into this match against the Cowboys. And I think it might surprise the Cowboys. But yeah, I'm very concerned about the refereeing ruck interpretation in this match. Most important thing.
Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't kill us. I think if things go our way,
I've got a bad feeling about it. Don't know why.
Yeah, I do as well. But also, I think if we can get that fair rub of the green, we can really stifle and strangle the Cowboys, and they can get frustrated, and that's when we can get that victory. That's what I'm hoping for. So yeah, hopefully the ref does his job and isn't easily 100%. Led.
So just a quick comment here from Angelo. He says definitely a key is to not let them score early. So yeah, it's hard to disagree with that, mate. We want to try and keep stop any momentum and keep their confidence down and get the crowd out of the match, I guess, don't we? So I think you're right there, mate. We if we can drag them into the slogfest and make it hard for them, I reckon we can get them, because I guess what you practice all year is what comes out in these big games, and the Cowboys have been more inconsistent than what we have, I think. So, and thanks, Angelo. Thanks for your support this year. We really appreciate it. And Jeff, thanks for your comments tonight as well, mate. We appreciate those. And let's wrap it up, James. I'm super tired. It's drained the energy out of me, that match on Sunday. And but it's great. It was a great result. And well done, boys. Well done, O'Brien. Let's see if we can get 1 week at a time, James? 1 week at a time.
That's it, mate. And I'm pretty sure, we're a bit tired at the moment, but the thing is, I think the boys will be really pumped and excited to be there. And this is when you as a footy player, you want to be you want to be playing at this time. So I'm thinking the boys will have a shitload of energy and go to Townsville and do a job with, they got the chartered flight room.
It's all about that chartered flight, eh?
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. Bring it on. Up the Knights.
Bring it on. Up the Knights. Let's play that team song, mate, and hope it goes for another match and we get ourselves into week 2 of the finals. I think that's about all she wrote. And look, we will do a review next week of that match. And then in terms of the season review, I'm thinking we might probably do that at the end of the season. Win or loss, we'll be back next week to do a review. And after that, hopefully we'll also be doing a finals preview as well. And at some stage when we finally lose, we'll do a season review. Who knows how far we could go. But thanks again, James. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And
thanks,
follow the Knighthood to make some cash, beat the bookies, and up the mighty Newcastle Knights. Let's go. Let's give it to those Cowboys this week up in Brownsville.
Bring it on. Go the Knights.
Bring it on. See you, mate.
See you, mate.